And when he came back, Harrison, who's kind of like a neighbor, was like, hey, you gotta hook up with this Chinese Thai guy from Saskatchewan. He's got no Asian friends in
Yo.
Okay. Welcome to In the Lab Podcast, episode 25.
Dang.
Which is kind of crazy, actually. We're close to like a year of doing this. So
Yeah, I just asked. Bi-weekly?
Should probably do something for a 1-year anniversary. Or we'll do nothing as we we miss, because we do it bi-weekly, sometimes we miss like major, like for example, this episode is probably going to come out right before Halloween.
Right, okay.
And like, I'm like, we're not dressed up for it. So.
yeah, true.
It's hard to time them if you're not doing it weekly.
No, for sure.
So, you know, but anyways, in this episode, we are joined by a very, very talented producer in Toronto produced under the name Hamlet.
Yes.
But Corey over here.
Yeah,
Appreciate having on, man.
Not at all. Thanks a lot. I
through.
Appreciate you guys having me on here.
Of course. We only had like a couple short conversations. I met you initially. It's so random. So, okay. I'll tell you my connection to Harrison first.
Yeah.
So Harrison actually booked me for a gig for there's a Girls' Generation idol that does like DJing stuff. So Hyoyeon, I think I said her name wrong, but like she goes under DJ Hyo, and she played a show in Toronto, and they needed someone to open for like another DJ, for example. And so Harrison, I don't know him in particular at the time, but he emailed, wow, this goes deep. So I know someone that used to work at Universal Music as an A&R, and that's the connection between her and Harrison. And then Harrison told her that he needs someone, and then she let me know.
Right.
And then so that was the reference for us two. I got booked for that gig, met him, super nice.
Yeah.
And then Ethan and I went on a tour with G-Soul, and that he works with Kohai like really closely. And then so when oh my God, what's his name? When Soul Child came, in his show, because Kohai was booking his tour, so we went to go see it. It was right after we got back from tour, so I got to see Roger Mohawk guy.
Yeah, Roger.
I just want to say hi, and that's why we were at the show, and I got introduced to you there.
True.
Yeah, through Harrison, and then we met each other at Cold again. Which is another Kohai tour.
yeah, exactly. Kohai's hooking it up, bringing us through Canada. Thank you, Harrison.
Thank you, Harrison. Thank you. But yeah, that's kind of how we kind of had a couple conversations. I haven't had a chance to link in the stew, but how do you know Harrison?
I know Harrison because when he came back from Asia, he was hanging out with my buddy Kay Lee, who he met out in Taiwan. They're both Taiwanese. Okay. So Kevin Kay Lee, who I work with very closely, he did a show. Like I think Harrison booked him for a show or something. So they just connected through there. And then when Harrison came back to Canada, I was hanging out with Kev, and then we just eventually met. Yeah. So that was like pre-COVID, 7 years ago.
Okay.
And then me and Kaylee started releasing some stuff, and he was helping out along with Enze. I don't know if you know Enze. He's at Universal as well. He's A&R, but they kind of helped release it, kind of make pitch decks for us, and all the business side of stuff.
I just met Harrison. I met him earlier this year.
Straight
up earlier this year, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, that reason. But all the circles, like he's actually the one who put me on Coven, right? So then he was like, hey, there's like a group of Chinese kids. And I'm like, okay, say less. Like let me know. And he's just like, there's this guy Coven. He told me about Ian, right? And eventually about you as well too. I've heard about you through actually Chris at Grantable just recently, because I was talking to Chris.
Oh wow.
And he's like, okay, and he was like, they did stuff years ago with I think Ethan and maybe Coven or whatever, and he was always like, release stuff.
So crazy.
Release stuff Biosphere.
Whoa. That's how I knew.
But the circle is small.
Harrison does know everybody.
That is true. Especially in the Asian music community.
Right. And I mean, obviously, you've been working a lot more with Eric Ryan, Maria Therese.
Yeah.
We were in like Nilo Blues.
That's my homie. So quick thing about Nilo. Colin, he's my I call him my grasshopper because I started teaching him Ableton. We're both from Mississauga, so I started teaching him Ableton in 2017. Like Like he was like 17 years old,
Damn.
kind of couldn't go to the bar kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like,
Okay.
So that's how I knew Colin, and
Wow, you
just
guys were
watching
way back
him
then.
kind of
Yeah.
grow up and everything. And so now we're kind of getting back into the stew again. And
Dude, that's
Pumping out
amazing.
stuff.
Yeah, we met. It was specifically Marie Therese booked her to play a show for like one of our events that we were doing, and Eric Grant was just playing guitar for her, I think, at the show, and then maybe they like sung together or something, and then that's how I was more familiar with them, and then we worked with Colin for like a live and stuff before, so
I've seen you guys doing that.
it's a small city.
It's
Big city but small city
for sure. Yeah.
And you know, you mentioned like growing up in Saga. Were you there like your whole life, basically?
Yeah,
like,
pretty much born in Saga. My dad was actually born in Windsor, Ontario too, so I'm like third gen. And I'm older than you guys, so there's not a lot of us then. So my Chinese is shit. My Cantonese is woo. Because
jeez. And then I kind of how was it growing up? Like, how do you like get into music? How do you want to like produce?
Well, getting into music, I think, was, did you take the piano lessons?
I did.
You know, that's the Asian thing, right?
Yes, sir.
So, and I so happened to like really like it. I was doing stuff at church. I think I sang first, you know, like as a 5-6 year old. So getting just kind of exposed and just really loving music. It was my dad too. Yeah. He put me on like Michael Jackson.
Shit, we have a fucking fly. He'll die eventually. It's okay.
Fuck that fly.
Yeah, we'll get him after.
What's the swearing policy on?
Oh, you can swear. It doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't. Okay. Here's another aside. Spotify. When you upload podcasts, you have to check. You have to tell them whether it's explicit or not. You have to tell them.
Yes. Okay.
I don't know what happens if you are wrong. I don't know if they just like
they might flag it. They might take it down.
Yeah,
somebody reports it if it gets heard.
And sometimes I'm not like 100% sure. So I'm like, because you have to go. It could just be one fuck, or I don't even know what the swear word policy is.
Yeah, I think it's a shit. It's I
like
don't know if
shit
bitch counts
ass.
though.
Yeah, that probably.
like,
but does ass count?
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. So I'm like,
you're right.
Some of our podcasts might get flagged. I'm not 100% sure. So I'm sorry.
Why are you putting no explicit on these things?
No. Some, if I'm for sure, like I usually
you know.
based on like the person or like me. Like, if I swore.
Right.
But like I usually
You're just saying if there's a shit that slipped or something.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm, because I listen to it back, but I can't catch every single word. So who knows? So anyways.
Yeah.
It's all good.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
Is podcast through like DistroKid and that kind of stuff as well?
So
like,
this is we have to like learn about this.
Yeah.
So before Spotify actually bought like a major podcast distribution thing. So now you can upload directly into Spotify as a podcast like platform. So you know, the Spotify for artists, there's Spotify for podcasters,
and you can just upload it right there.
Yeah,
right.
And then they apparently, I haven't
cool.
figured this out. They have an option to upload on other sites, so Apple Music or other like actual podcasts.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know where else people listen to podcasts, honestly.
That's true.
And then we upload like this video to YouTube, and then bless you. That's all good. You want a tissue? Napkin?
Whoa, sorry. No.
So they can upload to other sites for you, but I haven't figured that out yet.
True. That's cool.
That's
a whole nother world.
Yeah,
right?
it's they don't have that in Canada right now, but in the States, if you're a big enough podcast, you can run ads.
Okay.
So it's a whole different can of worms. Yeah, I'm still learning about it myself.
Yeah, you hear the ads within the podcast all the time, and it's about somebody else's podcast.
Oh, someone will sponsor us. That'd be nice. One day. Ding. But anyways, going back to you growing up doing the piano lessons.
Yeah. So that's kind of how it started. I just really enjoyed it. I was like competitive as hell. I was actually like a hockey kid, played sports, right? So I was just always competitive, played basketball. And I think that like leaked into my piano. So every time I'd play a recital, my teacher was good. She was a Taiwanese lady as well too.
Oh shit.
And she prepped me well, and I'd practice a lot. My dad put like a spell on me. I don't know if you've seen the movie with Will Smith. It's King Richard, right? Or is it called King Richard, or the one where it's about Serena and Venus?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And it's like a spell that he put on the girls. Like they were addicted to, tennis kind of thing. Like a punishment was not playing tennis, you know? So it felt like he put that on, I love music, right? He encouraged me, and that's just kind of where it took off. As I grew up, it was like, got into guitar, got into rock music. Yeah. I'm like, okay, this is different, right? Not playing classical anymore. And then that's where me and my brother kind of ventured off. And played in bands. Actually, church first, and and then we played in bands and stuff like that afterwards.
Is your brother like in music right now as well?
Yeah. So he plays some shows. He's got like a string of like originals and stuff.
Oh shit! What's his artist name?
Shyo, SHYO.
I see. Okay.
Like
Check him out after. Check him out after.
Yeah, check him out after.
Yeah.
Right. He's still releasing stuff and has a bunch in his pocket. So I'm just urging him to get it mixed and see how that goes, man.
And then for you, like, you know, you were like always like had a passion for music, always like were like involved in it. Did you going through like high school, going into university, if you even went, where it was a thought that like you were gonna do music full time, or was it like I gotta go do something else?
I went to university for English. So that was, it's at McMaster. It was like really weird. I was like, my friends go to Mac. And then my cousin went to Mac. I'm like, oh, this is like kind of whatever. It wasn't my thing. I'm not a school person, but I guess, you know, you do learn a lot. You go through that process. And then afterwards, my dad passed away. So that's when I was like, you know, I'm going to decide to do something that I'm passionate about. I decided to go full forward with music because I didn't want to, like, you know, get older. He always wanted to do basketball camps and, you know, this and that and stuff. He was a baller. Yeah, so that's where I got all my handles and my training and all that stuff was from him. Shit. Yeah, I got sick handles, man, for like this tiny Asian guy growing up. It's like,
you're like, it's the stereotype on the court where like that smaller Asian dude is just like cooking everyone.
Yo, I am that guy. Yo, it's really funny. Yeah.
Well, we'll touch on. I saw a couple clips on because I was looking at, you had a tag in your thing. It was it was like an Asian Iverson or something.
Yeah, yellow Iverson.
Yeah, yellow Iverson. And I was just like, wait, what is this? And I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah, just hidden there. Don't post it once in a while. Let people know, you know, what's up. But yeah, that's the other side.
I mean, obviously, I'm sorry that passed.
Yeah.
Some of that encouraged you a lot to like pursue your passion. So you finished school first, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
And did you work like a regular job, like 9 to 5, before you did music?
So, man, no, not really. Like, after that, I just went into teaching. So I went back to my piano teacher. I had, you know, stopped taking lessons like 8 years ago, or, you know, probably longer. And I was like, hey, I actually want to become a teacher. I've been doing music, right? I didn't need to get my level 10, or, you know, I didn't even get level 10, honestly. I didn't even get my level 9. I got my level 8. I played a bunch of songs in level 9, and I was like, I could teach now, right? So I got away with that for about 15 years of teaching, up until kind of recently. But that's what I've always kind of been doing, trying to figure out how to make income from music. Teaching's always, you know, education is always one of those avenues, right? But for me, it was never the end goal. You know, it was just a means of making income from my skill.
For sure. Yeah.
So yeah, I stopped doing that recently, and now I'm like selling pianos and trying to get my label going, and you know, making income through music and stuff in other ways. Yeah.
Yeah, and your label is called It Takes a Village, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It Takes a Village.
Yeah,
music.
I think that when I even like said the name out loud, I was like, wow, that was actually I love that name.
Thanks, man.
Because one, in the literal sense, it does take a village, and like a lot of things.
As you guys know, you're good.
I do have to not disturb. Okay, weird. Yeah, like it does take a village in every sense of like creatives or in your own life, raising family. Like it does take a village. So that's like a whole thing, and I'm sure it takes a different meaning for you as well.
Yeah, for sure. Well, there's the lure to it is Hamlet is actually, my dad said, it's named after a village. Like Hamlet is just a town or a township smaller than a village, and so that's where he said his name was from, not actually Shakespeare. I don't know if he says this because he's like, everybody's like, Shakespeare, Hamlet. It's like such a weird name for a Chinese guy, right? He probably got picked on so much. He'd tell me stories, but yeah, that's I don't know if it's true, if that's why Grandpa or his dad decided to do that or name him that, or if it was Shakespeare. But so from that, I kind of was like, okay, how do I relate that? And I'm always about community, you know, kind of. I'm not a singer myself. When I make tracks, I need to kind of get people together, you know, have artists and, you know, stuff like that. So,
wow. Yeah. I don't know. I've saw like you guys post on social media and stuff about it. I was like, this is really cool. This is really cool movement.
Yeah. Thanks,
and it's exactly the type of stuff that I think Toronto needs more of, to be honest.
100%. Yeah.
And I think it's something that like for us at Lab is exactly what we're trying to do as well. Not necessarily on the label, like specific music label side, but like
Yeah.
we wanted to create a platform or a community or like an environment where like it can help other people, and you know, and people in our community grow or have a platform to have a voice and express themselves creatively, you know.
100%. Yeah.
Growing up, we didn't really have that opportunity where people around, and especially you guys in the generation. Wait, how old are you?
Yeah, you guess. You're like around here.
Early 30s.
Yeah, thank you. 37.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Like you guys in the generation before.
Yeah, exactly. How old are you?
I'm 24, turning 24.
Baby. Yeah, you guys are all mid-20s, man.
Yeah,
That's why I gotta like dress young and like get perms and shit to try to keep up with y'all.
Wait, you still kicking on the court at 37, bro?
Yeah, bro. That's why I don't know when I'm gonna, I'm still trying to make it to the league, the way I'm playing.
You and LeBron, at 40, you're just still balling out.
Still going, bro. Still playing like that.
Yeah. I mean, I think hearing testimonies and stories from like you guys at the forefront, it was just a whole different landscape from what we were growing up with.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, it was kind of the same for us. Like you don't really get Asians in mainstream media, but it's a little more open, especially growing up. Mississauga, Markham, there's a lot more Asians that you see. And
my generation, there weren't as many, but there were, as you get into high school, there were like a lot more. Yeah, for sure.
And it wasn't until, I think for me specifically, 88 Rising in high school, that like changed everything. I would say it really did change everything. It wasn't that I wasn't making music because I was Asian or trying to promote that. It just so happened that we're Asian being a creative, and there was a wave of like popularity or opportunities and avenues that opened up because of it, and because of you guys paving the way as well, right?
Yeah, true.
You guys saw everything before we did, and how was that like kind of being on the forefront of that?
I don't even think like we really knew. We were just, again, like you said, we're just being creative, and we were Asian, right? And then eventually you start to just kind of notice it, right?
Oh shit.
You're like, and I've always tried to incorporate that in the creation or in the in the brand or whatever, right? Because that is who we are. It's just now there's a lot more people doing it, right? But not really at the same time. The community's small. Like that's why it's me and Harrison heard about the small batch of Chinese kids doing it. A lot of people doing it, Filipino kids, stuff like that. So like Chinese specific was almost like, oh, that's cool, right? There's people doing it, right? So it's nice to watch you guys grow from that. Before, man, just from producer world, man, it was like I wasn't an FL guy. I was trying to record bands, and it was just like a lot of technical, trying to figure this out, learning about mixing, a lot of different tracks, and everything's a mess, kind of thing. And recording in general was tougher. I was like on a 4-track mixing board, like they didn't have interfaces, right? I needed something to wire like the mother card thing into the PCI card. Sorry, I'm such a Mac guy now. I'm like, you needed that was your interface, and you had to slide that card into your computer.
So
and
crazy.
It was 4 1/4-inch inputs, right? And then you take a live mixer that can also do separate outputs. You'd be like, if this mixer has separate outputs, great, I have 4 separate channels. Oh my god! And then you go 1/4-inch into your PCI
That's
card.
Like a luxury. Having outputs is a luxury.
Yeah, it is, man. So it was. Yeah, now it's just like tiny box, like USB. What was that before, right? That's why we had the PCI card, right? So I came from that trying to record.
It's all Lightning now. It's USB-C.
Yeah, it's so fast and plug and play. You know what I mean? You're not thinking about it. And in the DAWs, Ableton, it's a lot more, I think, friendlier, maybe, especially for the type of production we do. Like I don't want to call it electronic, but like it's like electronic.
I mean, you record live instruments, but you're mostly
in the box, digital,
exactly.
kind of. So that was the difference. So now it's like, oh man,
my God,
you guys are playing like video games, it's so awesome, right? But
the craziest I've done, and this is probably not even crazy compared to like what you've seen, but I had to link 2 interfaces for the first time using an optical cord.
Oh, true. Yeah.
And I was like, what the you have to sync them.
Right.
I was just like, this is crazy.
So like optical cables are, because I have a tube Opto 8, and it's just 8 channels, and I tie it into my interface with an optical cable, and it's like so skinny. I get 8 channels, just like the little wire.
Yeah.
Like incredible.
Yeah, it is crazy. And I'm like, I've never had to link, first of all, like using like an 8-channel interface is already like, what the heck is this?
Yeah.
And then you link 2 and you're like, oh, this is insane.
Just
Like we
that,
actually do this. How do you actually learn? Like there was like
Dude, there wasn't
early internet.
like it's true. There wasn't a lot on YouTube. It was a lot of just like,
and you're gonna go to school for it.
I went to Harris eventually, but by that point I knew how to like, you know, the ins and outs and stuff like that.
How did you learn all this?
It was like trial and error. Like Cubase was my first DAW, and it was just like, how do I get into the out, you know, like really just figuring out by myself preferences. Okay, you know. You know, it was tough, man.
Yeah.
But once you get it, you're like, oh shit, I got it, you know, and I can start doing this. And you start putting the recordings together. They're janky. They're so janky because you don't know how to record. Your mic is shit. The gear's all, you know, not great, right? So I think everything upgraded when I went to worked at Long McQuaid. That was years later, but that's when I like built the studio up. I got a bunch of gear that I still use since then, right? My table, even, you know.
Oh, really?
Super discount on the table, shit. Right? I'm just like, this is my table. You know?
I need a better. Okay, I never really thought I would ever say this for myself, but you see all the studios with the crazy desks and things like that. I'm like, I can just get my like, I have really practical like Amazon $100 like fold out. I don't even have to like screw it in. I just like fold it out, fold it in, and I'm like, I need a bigger desk. Like, I need a better. I need like a desk where I can like put my monitors up, put a piano on, like stuff. I'm like, I understand why these desks are so expensive now.
Yeah. So the one I got, just that crappy old Long McQuaid one, but with all the discounts, it was like $250 at the time.
It was.
And stuff now, all the inflation. When I bought stuff then, I sold it for the same amount I bought it because of inflation, or sometimes actually more. To be honest,
shit. Wow.
So it's kind of that's the life. You know about it, collecting gear. Shit,
slowly. You see people's like studio racks, and they're like $20,000 like a unit, and you're like, okay, wow,
that's too much.
One day,
I'm also a bare minimum. I'm like, it does the job.
Are you hard analog over software, or are you a big software believer?
I'm analog. I have a lot of outboards. I got like a Rev 2. I play a lot of my instruments, right? I don't really even have a lot of plugins on my computer.
Wow.
Like Omnisphere I stopped using. Trillion I don't use because I just use a Rev 2. It just sounds like fatter and nicer, right? But then there is a lot of like quality to digital that I'm missing. Yeah, I guess I haven't invested into that.
Is it because you kind of like already have all this analog equipment, that's what you're used to, and you kind of like keep it that way? Or are you actually a believer of like software just doesn't hit the same?
No, I used to use, you know, software plugins and everything. I think it's just haven't found the recent cracks. You know, like just been lazy.
No, we're fully legit.
No cracks. No cracks. Not anymore, of course. You know, you get started, but cut this part out.
Some of those plugins are expensive.
That's what I'm saying, you know? And I'm like I don't know if I should tell people this. I'm like you use 4 patches of that thing, you know, like I just go to those same patches.
I feel that. I mean, one patch you can do so much with it, so it's all good. I understand. My biggest pet peeve for like software stuff now is the subscriptions. You can't even buy the software for some things.
I see.
Like it's almost like Adobe, where you can't just own Photoshop anymore. You have to buy a subscription. You can't. Some things you can rent to own, but it's like for the most part, like these stupid subscription like software things where like and you make me want to pirate it.
Yes.
Like I'm totally down to like save some money, buy a piece of software like I really like. But if I have to, I always have to rent it, which I do. Allegedly. It's just like it's frustrating. It's my biggest pet peeve for stuff now. I would prefer. I like honestly just buying VSTs from like indie developers. Nice. Like producers that I know that like program their own things out. I'd rather just buy it off them because it's like it's priced a lot more fairly. I get lifetime updates. I don't have to buy like 5 different versions in a decade. So
and they're updating packs all the time, and you know, they have user packs and the whole community sometimes, right, where you just get free packs or whatever.
Honestly, sometimes I would rather just go back to the old days of like you buy a pedal board and that's it. You want an upgrade, you buy another pedal.
Limitation, you need it, you know, like you go into Ableton sometimes, you're like, yo, I can fucking do anything, you
Yeah.
know, and that's not good, you know. A lot of the time,
scary.
you need
Yeah.
direction, you need sometimes that limitation to really kind of carve your sound sometimes, even, right?
Yeah.
So I think for me, I just leaned into analog, because that's what I do. I'm like, I play instruments.
Yeah.
I gotta play the instrument, man.
Yeah.
That's what I do, you know. So
Feels different.
yeah, it feels different, and you know, if I can give artists that, you know, then I'll give them that. That's what I'll be known for, right? I can do the other stuff, but like this is kind of where I'm sitting now. The artists I work with, they're very like, I love folk, man. As I get older, you know, not like Bob Dylan kind of, you know, just like Daniel Caesar folk, because Daniel Caesar's folk, you know, like or local artist Adria Kane, like this is all like kind of folky music, right?
Have you listened to Greek? Have you heard of him before?
No.
Yeah, he has some folk stuff that
Yeah,
you
yeah.
really like.
Or Mustafa, right? Like that kind of stuff, right? I'm working with this guy Tova. He's from Saskatchewan. There's a little community out there too. I don't know. Have you met Merv yet as well?
No,
Merv Gotti.
No.
He's also out there. He runs a label called Trifecta. He just came out here and he's doing some stuff as well.
Oh shit.
But they got a little R&B scene. Katie Tupper.
Mm.
They kind of, I guess that's that circle, right?
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, Tova's we got a project coming out starting end of this year.
Yeah.
We're gonna start doing the rollout.
Damn,
But
that's
yeah,
amazing.
he's dope.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
We'll give it a listen for sure.
Yeah.
And I mean, when you first started music, were you like kind of just trying everything, or you kind of knew the sound that you were going for, especially as a producer?
So as a producer, I come from Taku, Subtract. That's like
Okay.
their early stuff is like,
Yeah.
okay, I can actually make electronic production sound very organic and sound analog and whatnot, right? Because I think before that, to me, electronic was like that 2000s Beyonce 2010. You know what I mean? It was like very like Max Martin-y. Like Max Martin's great, right? But like very synthy, heavy pop synth kind of stuff, right? And I was like, electronic's not hitting the way, you know what I mean? I never really dug it. Sorry. I was kind of a purist, right? Before playing in bands and shit. The band broke up, started going to some raves, and then falling in love with like, okay, electronic, you can really do this. And then with Taku and Subtract, they just did it very, I guess, tastefully, and the sounds sound real and whatnot, right? So that's where I got into that type of production. I guess, genre it's like, always changing. Right?
Yeah, it's like,
right?
I guess tech it's like instrumental hip. I mean, kind of did everything. Really.
Yeah, it was more of the songs to his first one, the songs to cry to or whatever, love to. I forget which one, right? Yeah. And then just before that, he would have the hip hoppy ones, which I thought were, you know, they're cool, but he had some very like organic kind of sounding stuff as well too. So yeah, that's
wow. So you were listening to that when it came out?
Yeah.
Dude, I was like, when I came across that album, I was like, holy damn, they were making this shit back then?
Yeah, true, yeah. The dinosaur is just like a fossil.
I'm like, yo, this is old school. Like, and not even, it's like 2013, 2014. I'm like, this is old school, man.
Yeah, bro. Yeah. So it was actually Skrillex, man. Skrillex's stuff is like, it sounds stupid crazy, you know, like that electronic, but sounded so fat and so very nice, and you know, and like I'm not about dubstep, but like, you know, I've been to a couple of shows, but for fun, but it sounds great, you know, like the sonically it's there, you know. I don't think it was always there, you know. So yeah. And
then recently you're kind of more in mostly with the people you're working with, like folk, R&B,
soul music, right? Soul. I think as I got older, it's just like, hey, what music can I make to show my parents, to show my kids, you know, when I get older? My theme is always, and I told lots of people, is timeless. I want timeless music that is not, you know, determined by what's happening, what's hot right now, the trend. I want something that 10 years later I can listen back and be like, yeah, that's just a good song. It hits the same way, kind of thing. No different than like 70s, 80s stuff, right? So that's why I also like some soul tracks and stuff like that, because that kind of has that timelessness, right?
Timeless music. That's such an interesting, especially as a producer. I mean, songwriting in general, like timeless, like music. But when you make timeless music, what does that really mean? Like, what does that mean to you?
Yeah, I guess it's different for everybody, right? Like for me, I think just real organic, good melody. You know, I remember it was like an artist, but his dad he said a song should be still good if it's played just with an acoustic and the vocal. You know what I mean? Like
Ooh.
the production, it can be great and all that, but then when you just strip the song and you have, you know, it on a piano and a voice, right?
Yeah.
It should still have that kind of same impact,
wow.
right? So yeah, that's kind of
like
yeah, kind of like that. I always, even I don't know why I thought of this. The remixes that I used to do was kind of like taking something that was like fast bop, and then I would switch it slow, or something slow, and then I put a 4 on the floor, and then it's like, oh, it can, you know, so you just see it in different spaces, but that song, that core is still there, right?
Still there,
right?
Yeah, there was something he's a more old guy, but more modern music. Danny Brown, rapper.
Danny Brown.
Yeah, goes as fuck. Actually, the thing that resonated with me about timeless music came from him.
Oh yeah, true.
He was like, I want to make timeless music. So that's why I'm slow with like, he sits on his songs for so long. He'll sit on it for like a year, a couple years, because like he wants it to hit every single time he listens to it. Yeah. And I was like, oh wow, that's so crazy to like conceptualize in that way, you know?
I think it, because the stuff that I released recently, was from pandemic. Like we made that in, like, I look at the file session, it was like 2021, you know? Like Oyster's from 2021. And it finally came out 2023, 2024, all the stuff, right? And the reason I'm proud of it is because I still fuck with the music 3 years later. You know what I mean? Like I still listen. I'm like, yeah, I fuck with the song. You know what I mean? So that feels good. I think, you know, you don't want to be like, oh, that was just a song for that time, and you know, I'm not really about it anymore or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But which is still fine. You know, you grow and you learn. But I guess that's kind of a good test, right? And to each their own, right? Like timeless can mean different things for different people, right? I think for yourself, if it makes you feel that way, then that's a good sign, you know?
Timeless to me, it's that, and also like, I would love to produce a record that can stand the test of actual time. That like, even when I'm dead, there's a generation of people, or like a couple people out there that are like, wow, this guy's a legend. Or, like, this is some like niche. There's like someone that can still listen. That's why when I hold a vinyl, it means so much to me.
True.
Because I'm like, wow, this is like a physical medium. Like digital stuff, it can just disappear anytime. You know, Spotify decides like, yeah, fuck it.
That's
Apple's
true.
just like, fuck it. Or we don't have electricity or internet. You just
How
can't
do
listen
you
to this stuff digitally anymore. So like burning CDs when I was younger, like burning MP3s into CDs. Legally,
and then selling them for $5. All the Chinese classic hits, you know.
I used to just burn like Monster Cat, for example. They would release like album compilations,
right,
but I couldn't afford them as a kid, so I would just YouTube to MP3, burn every single song on that compilation into an actual CD, and I'd be like, oh, I have the compilation for free.
Exactly. And then it shows up at P-Mall somehow.
Come on. But like even holding a vinyl, for example, like the physical medium, I like resonate so much with it, because it's like, okay, this has a chance to like, unless it gets actually destroyed, like this can be here forever. You know?
That's probably why it's coming back pretty hot right now too, right? It's because everything is so digital. Like even merch, it's like, it's just a form of merch. Like how many vinyls have you bought that just you buy it but you don't even play it? You just buy it, it's like,
I think I
got it. You know, like it's just a piece of merch, which is great that it's coming back, right? But people, I think we're missing that, especially with Spotify. You don't even know who the artists are sometimes. People ask me what I listen to now. Oh man, this is the hardest question for me. I'm like, I say the same answers from like I'm like Lucky Day, you know, like the first song, I don't know, you know.
Good bakes.
Yeah. He's got the new stuff. Anderson back, Malibu, like that. I'm like years ago, so I just kind of get put on what other people, you know, put me on and stuff now. There's so much music out there, man. It's like,
and I think the most interesting question I have for people, like people who are not necessarily even like, they're just music enthusiasts or listen to music or consume music, they're not necessarily in the industry. I ask them like, how do you find new music? What are you listening to?
Right.
They're like, there's a lot of people that for the first time I met someone that listens to the DJ only on Spotify. He only lets the DJ run stuff.
Yeah, true.
Or like some people will be like, I only listen to like someone's like radio.
Yeah.
Or like, oh, I'll just let an algorithm run off. What I like to do is like, I like to click an album and I'll let it run all the way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little old school in the terms of like, if I listen to a project, I have to listen to it front
to back,
just like a vinyl, you know.
Good.
I mean, you can skip songs, but like it feels more natural to like listen through the whole thing.
For sure.
And then when it ends, Spotify can like shuffle the rest into like just a random radio.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I think that's kind of how I listen to it. But like, it's so interesting hearing how people consume music in that way. It's hard to find music, you know.
It is. Yeah. And again, I don't know, because there are people who are still, you know, fans, like, obviously, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, not that I lost it, it's just I'm fans of different things now, but like collecting artists before and being the one to be like, yo, check this out, yo, putting people on and stuff like that, you know, like, yeah, that
or
was
like my music teacher said back in the day, you had to buy the vinyl. One person would buy it, everyone would gather around, and they would like play it and like experience it together. I'm like, that is something that is very much missing.
Yeah,
these days
100%.
And I think it'd be nice to like go back to. I'm 24 years old. It'd be nice to go back to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Back to the good old days.
Yeah. ADD listening is like, you know, everybody listens with like it's fast.
It's fast.
The way we produce the songs too, like it's got to hit in a certain amount of time.
That hook is everything almost.
Yep, right. And then Oyster's like 2 minutes on purpose, so you got to replay it kind of thing. But it's like,
because it gets shorter.
And then that's
the game is so different. But
so
I mean,
weird,
not that you guys don't care about the music itself. Like that's also really important as well. It's still a really well produced record. You know, it's a very interesting. Oh, dude, I don't know if you've ever listened to like stuff on YouTube or like compilations and stuff, or like just clicked on a video like music. I mean, YouTube is a great place to discover music. It's also like AI music on YouTube is crazy.
True.
There's a compilation I clicked on. It was like this funk. I don't know. It was just random like funk house like kind of thing. And it was like it sounded like legit. It's the way it's branded. Like they have an Spotify, they have an Apple Music, and I'm like, is this AI?
Right.
And you look, and some channels won't tell you, but some channels will have like created by this AI software.
Right.
Like, holy shit. I can't even tell anymore. I actually can't tell.
You can, yeah. My buddy, made a couple songs. They were hilarious, right? But like it was smooth. Like the production was nice. The words, the metaphors were all there and everything. It's a good tool. You know, I think at the end of the day there is still. That's why you got to lean into that analog, you know, maybe that all those mistakes. That's a big part of my production is kind of those happy accidents and those mistakes and those weird sounds. Just like leave it in, you know, like just have it kind of sonically be there. It doesn't have to be perfect, you know. So
how do you feel about like all the AI stuff that you said is a good tool? I agree, it's a good tool too, but you know, the way it's being used, or like some people are like being very disingenuous with it, I think it's a little scary.
It's funny. I think I just look at it comically, I guess. You know, I'm only thinking of like, oh, listen to the AI Eminem, you know, like check this out.
They're straight up like lo-fi hip hop or like these funk albums that are fully produced AI.
Yeah.
And it's not credited to AI, and it's just this like artist that doesn't really have any
info, just
artist, and they're on Spotify, and they will get like millions of streams,
right?
And you're like, holy shit, that's the game. Crazy.
They're just tapping into that
and
now.
And not only that, these people have like multiple artist accounts,
right?
It's like this one person, this is how I found out how like Spotify playlist thing is like kind of a scam, because some playlists will have slots owned by, let's say let's say Warner. You know, they have these slots on the playlist for their artists and stuff. They had this couple like instrumental hip hop playlists. They had one guy have like 10 different artist names. The entire playlist is just that one guy, but 10 different artists.
Dang.
So it doesn't look like it's just one person like producing stuff, but it was that. Yeah. And like when confronted about it, because I'm hearing this through my boy, because like he actually talked to this person directly. He was like, yo, how can you like morally like be okay with this? Like, do you care like as an artist, or like, you know, do you care? And he's like, no, it's just the game. I'm playing the game.
He's just playing the game.
This label is like, I want you to like fill these slots. I'll do it. You know.
Yeah. Right.
At least his was an AI.
Yeah. At least he made those.
Actually, it's just like, oh my, there's probably some guy out there just only AI music, man.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
100%, man. Yeah.
And how do you feel like, you know, you have confidence in your own style and production that you can differentiate yourself or like have value against like these people who only like it's not just a machine producing it. But how do you feel like you kind of have shaped your sound or like developed your style in order to like kind of fill your niche in this day and age?
I think it's just working with the artist. Like that's kind of where that magic comes, and it changes from session to session depending on that artist. Like I have my sound, right, and I can kind of blend like a chameleon. You know, you need this kind of sound, you need this. We can kind of lean in there, right? But then when an artist kind of brings me something, I can kind of take that, and then with that, I think I get inspired, and then that shapes kind of my sound as well too. You know, I put a lot of onus on the artist, man. When they come into the studio, I hate that, like play the beats and which one you like, and then record a couple ideas. Like I'm like, what do you got? You know, like, do you have any voice memos? Do you have any hooks? You know, because then again, it's that limitation. You're giving me direction, so I'm not like shooting in the dark. How do you like these chords? You know, I'm like shaking. You know, you're nervous, like my chops. I haven't practiced in a while. You know, so I'm like, what do you have, right? Because if you can give me a melody, from that melody, even if it's a cappella, even if you just sing it on the spot, I can kind of hear where it can go, and we can even have a discussion about it. You know, I hear this kind of production, this, and then from there, you're not shooting in the dark, right? So the artists I work with the best is when they have like just a guitar idea. They come in, a hook, a little melody, and I'm like, that's fire. Let's like this one. Let's work on this now, and then we roll, right? So Tova is like that. He's actually backwards. He writes his songs first, poetically, right? And then from his poetry, he'll determine like what the sound or the aesthetic or what it should sonically sound like, right? Is it acoustic? Is it piano? Is it this, right? And it's always like kind of R&B folky in that direction, but he comes at it from that perspective first. He'll come into the studio and he plays piano, right? So he'll play me the chords, he'll sing on top, and then from that I'm just like, okay, yeah, I know this direction. So the next project is all like water based, right? It's like kind of a little piratey, but it's like it's kind of cool. Like, yeah, it's different. It's very cinematic. It's a very cinematic dude, right? So yeah.
Mr. Kobe.
Sir.
Sir. Nah, it's
not at all, bro. Not at all.
No, that's so interesting. I feel like I should do that more. I never, you know, I'm not the type to. I don't like playing just beats as well. I like to. I almost like to produce like right then and there. As well.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and like work with the artist more, and I like to ask him like kind of what. I'll still start with like production. I'll be like, hey, like, what are you feeling? What artists are you listening to? Like, what are you inspired by? Let's work off that. Yeah. And then build off it. But you know, I should ask them for their stuff too.
Yeah. First. Right. Sometimes they got these unfinished songs. It's the production's not quite there, right? And it's a really good idea, and then you can like take that and, you know, or it's like they got so many voice memos and stuff, right? Yeah. So again, it gives you that direction, man, and you're not like
shaking.
You know, like
they don't like anything. You're like,
you don't like this. You're not saying anything. You know, so
those ones where you're just like playing beats and they're not fucking with anything. You get to the last one, you're like, I'm cooked after this, you know. And they're like, oh, that's the one. I'm like,
oh thank God. Yeah, actually, let's load it up right now.
Yeah. You know? Exactly. Recently, you performed live, and I don't know how often you perform live, but you performed live at Eric Ryan's headline show, which is like really cool. I wish I could be there. Just
all good. Yeah.
I missed some big shows recently. I feel really bad about. I missed Majo's show that I really wanted to be at.
Yeah, that was a nice show. Yeah,
man, I wish I was there. I really love their music as well. It would have been nice to hear it live. But like, yeah, I saw you play live there too, and kind of how was your experience, and were you always playing live growing up? How do you kind of like build up to it?
Yeah. Again, piano recitals. I got my training then. Yeah. And then just bands. Like me and my brother. My brother was a drummer. I played eventually guitar. We did some church stuff. So every Sunday we're on stage, right, for a while. Mama was really proud. And then we made up our own music. Started just finding shows, battle of bands locally, whatever, and then starting to go downtown. There's something called Supernova before, where they'd this is like Billy Talent, Sum 41 days. Like Sum 41, I think, is a Supernova winner, where they would just it's like a total like money grab where they're just like, it's kind of a pay to play almost, right? You're selling tickets, you're giving them the money, right, to bring people for a chance to win some studio time, because that was so precious, you know. It's like $5,000 of studio time or whatever, you know, which so we did those, and then just kind of just figuring out the system then, and you know, finding what other shows, how do we make it, how do we record properly, you know, like that was a thing, right? But yeah, playing live my whole life. I actually, for the first time in the past couple of years, stopped playing as much. It was just a lot. It's a lot of work, a lot of time. It was hard to kind of make it make sense, you know. I moved into head office at my job, so I wasn't teaching. There wasn't as much time anymore, so I was focused on that. But with that, I got a mortgage. I like became an adult, you know, so, or started to, right? So, so yeah, man, that's that show I played with Eric. I did one song for Oyster, but then I played bass with Lauren Kovacs, a few songs, right? It was actually really nice to do that because I haven't done it in so long. Yeah. And it wasn't about like, am I getting paid? Is it the income? Like, I have a job now. I don't need to, you know, make whatever money from a show or whatever. And that's the cool thing with that whole crew too. It's like when we were younger, it's just like, we just do it, man. You know, it's not about that. You know, it's like
the fun of the game.
Yeah.
Just the love of it.
It's love of it, right? And they got a really cool, tight-knit group, right? And everybody's helping each other and working with each other and, you know, performing with each other, right? I'm a sub, right? So I'm like, if somebody can't make it, call me up, right? I'll play, I'll be the sub, keys, whatever, right? So I have fun doing it now, man. So that just kind of started happening.
Oh shit, that's dope.
Yeah, the relationship with music is getting better, because I think for a while, you know, I was like a salty uncle. Like, really? Yeah, there was a time, if you ask even some of my close friends a year and a half ago, and a lot of them know, like, I wasn't producing that much, I wasn't meeting up with people, right? If you talk to me about it, I was like, I don't know, man, you know, like this is tough, it's hard, right? Still doing things. I started Takes a Village. It was a studio first, like a community studio in Chinatown. So I wasn't like really making music myself, but like I was still like doing things and, you know. Yeah. But
it just evolved.
It just evolved into that. I knew it was always going to be a label. My buddy was moving out of his spot in Chinatown, and it's like right beside Lucky Moose. AGO's on this side.
Oh, whoa, okay.
It's like, yeah, on top of a massage parlor, you know. Right? That was the after. No, I'm just kidding. Never went there. And so he was like, hey, I'm moving out here. There's this dope spot, right? Do something with it, right? So I got an opportunity to try to turn it into a studio. Just like put a couple interfaces, nothing like this, nothing, you know. I mean, it was really like,
ours isn't that crazy in terms of like equipment, but it's a sound treated room, which is really nice.
That's a huge thing, right? So this place was just like, you know, Toronto apartment above a massage parlor, right? Divided into 3 rooms. I just did what I could. A lot of people rolled through there. It was cheap as fuck. Like it was $100 membership for 4 sessions. Wow. For 6 hours to 8 hours in a month for $100. And I look back and I'm like, fuck. Definitely bad business model. But a lot of people rolled through. They had that opportunity. That's where I met a lot of people too, right? Eric Ryan used that space. A lot of different people use that space, right? Like legit 100+ artists, musicians, right? I had I think overall maybe like 60+ members or something, just kind of coming in, coming out for that month and whatever, right? Consistent ones.
A lot of traffic.
Yeah, so there's a lot of traffic. A lot of people loved it just because obviously the price was great. It gave them a place to, and it was central, right?
And you're also like building community at the same time, because like, yeah, like these people, you are providing, it is cheap, but also like it's also giving an opportunity for people to like just go in and try shit, you know, meet new people, try new things.
Yeah, so that I enjoyed it, man. I lost a bit of money, but you know, it was good. Ultimately, I wasn't producing. Like I had the place because I moved back to Mississauga for a bit, need to save some money to, you know, get a mortgage, but I didn't even have time to go myself. You know what I mean? So I was like providing the space, and like the whole point was so I could actually be involved creatively. I was just running a studio. It was a lot of
like, wait, hold on,
a lot of damn work.
I thought I was supposed to be
exactly. I'm like, so that eventually I was like, you know what? It's a lot of work. I'm losing money, so I cut it off. But then from there, I knew it was always going to be a label, you know, so that was just kind of a nice look. It was the name. I was like, this name is so good for the studio so too, good, right? Like the community studio takes a village, right? All these members, this makes sense, right? And then from there, it kind of went into a label. To be honest, I don't even like to call myself a label. Yeah.
I mean, it's like almost like a little collective.
Yeah.
Just like a group.
I think even I'm leaning more even towards production company, you know, just me as a creator. Because again, I want to be the one making stuff, right? This just gives me the structure to do that. I am like, if there's somebody I'm working with or whatever and they need help or whatever, I'm going to help you, you know, like, and I get, again, I don't, my percentage are very low, so it's not, I don't get much. It's like, hey, just giving you access, right? Like I wish I had somebody who would give me access when I was younger to try this out and try that out, right? But yeah, just learning as I go. But the label thing is, I'd rather be more of like, a collective, a community kind of group, right? I think for grants as well, that vibe's a lot better too, right? So
yeah, I mean, that's an amazing thing. It's true for me as well. Like it's even crazier, like growing up in this music age, more modern music age. I started not even making music in person. I didn't have a studio to go to. I didn't know anybody in Toronto. I just had to like, is Discord. Discord,
true,
Instagram,
true.
social media. I would like, I don't even know these people. I'm working and making music with them. So having a place, you know, to like gather and as more like community based, and you're kind of like even like giving them a place to like start and like figure it out. And I think that's an amazing thing.
Yeah, man.
Building out. So, kind of what are your future plans for It Takes a Village as well then?
So right now it's just, again, helping the artists I work with, releasing my stuff through it. I'm kind of leaning in towards these events. I did an event in June. It's a welcoming Asian creatives event where it's just any Asian creative in film and music and fashion. They can come together. We have some music, some performers. Last time we had Eric Ryan, Kyle, Lauren Kovacs, Levara, and Eliza Plaza. Great turnout. A lot of people, met a lot of different people. Even myself, like I'm working with some people that I met that night. Wow. Harrison just came in. What up, Harrison?
Hey.
So Harrison met Bernard that night, who runs a vintage shop, and when Cold came through, he brought Cold through that vintage shop, and that was because they met at that event, right? So it's just like you see it happening, and I'm like, yo, this is dope. Okay. So I got the next one coming up. Well, it's probably past because this one's coming out in what's it called?
In October.
Yeah, Halloween, right? So y'all missed it if you didn't come, but it's I got Majo. She's playing Colin Nilo Blues. I have Merv from Saskatchewan, the artist I mentioned earlier, and then I have Sonia. You know,
ooh,
So I'm forcing Sonia. I'm like, you're doing this, bro. You're gonna perform as a producer. You know, like I want to put producers on the map specifically. You know, where we kind of get to have creative control and a bit of the spotlight, because otherwise, credits in Spotify, nobody's looking at.
Or
you're
just
shit,
the DJ in the background. In some cases, Mr. Ethan Lowe. I mean,
shots fired, bang bang.
Give me the spotlight.
No, but yeah, so that's, I guess, where I'm leaning towards those kind of events, and I feel good about them, man. Like they're really helping the community. It's not just like, hey, watch the show and about myself either. Hey, I'm performing, right? It's like, hey, put on the young kids, right, and see what's good.
No, that's amazing. That's exactly what Toronto needs more of, honestly. Like needs more grassroots events, so gather people and you just have a good time. Like talk 100%. To each other, network, like just build the community out. I think sometimes Toronto gets a little like cliquey. I'm sure
100%,
many times, and
for sure.
I think to be able to like open that up and then just welcome everyone is like, I think is a really amazing thing. So,
what do you think about that? Toronto's screw face capital. Why are we so cold, man?
I don't know. You know what? Some of it is like big city, like ego. Like
100%.
Some of it is probably like the influence of like Drake and Weeknd, like OVO label, EXO. Like they do have like a little bit of dominance in terms of like
100%.
Like the people, like, and so with, I want to say new generation, but like with kind of after COVID, like the underground scene in Toronto kind of like kind of changed a lot, at least in my experience. Like when first coming out of COVID, even till now, I think like events have been getting way more bigger. I think way more resources. I think the people like leading the charge are also like different as well. So it's it's nice. It's refreshing.
Yeah, it is good. Yeah, everything's opening back up. That's all it is. The economy's coming back, right? But yeah, it's good. I was just kidding. I love you, Toronto.
Okay. Do you think, I mean, growing up, do you think you would stay in Toronto for the rest of your life? I mean, you have a mortgage here, I guess.
Yeah, now I'm stuck. Now I got no choice. No, like even now, because I traveled to Asia, like I was a late traveler. I didn't grow up traveling. So I was a late traveler. My fiance like is the one who kind of travels a lot herself. So we started going out, and now seeing like other parts of the world, Asia, I'm like, no, I can be out here, you know, like that's dope. I would love to. So even her right now, she might get well, no, she might not, but transfer to Hong Kong, right? Like that might be an option, right? I'm like, yo, I'll come, you know, teach some piano, right? I'll get in, and then teach some English and piano, and then just travel elsewhere or whatever, right?
That's perfect.
But let life happen. I'm older, man. Family might be in the cards, things like that, right? So things
can't just different. Be a young, bold 20-year-old just going anywhere.
Yeah, like you. I'll just live vicariously through you guys, right? All the youngins. Just bring me on tour one day, please.
Dude, what do you want to tour?
Bro, that's been a dream of mine. Shit. It's just I don't know. I'm not but I've always wanted to tour. I would love to.
I'm sure there'll be an opportunity there for sure.
Yeah, I've heard of people touring and they bring their kids and shit. It's like a whole trip, right?
Yeah, dude. Like Harrison would know, like the Mars, like that Taiwanese like rock star guy. Like he straight up has a kid. Yeah. And like I see the backstage of like him playing shows and stuff, and like just his wife and his kid. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah. I don't know if my wife would be doing that, but you think Maggie would do that? It's a no. She's like maybe 2 times, and then she's like, I'm tired of this shit.
That's crazy, you know. And you know, kind of, what time? What are we at? Okay, shit. Well, I mean,
you can keep going. I'm not. I got nothing. Yeah.
I mean, we usually go around an hour anyway, so we'll wrap it up. But yo, honestly, the conversation with you has been amazing. Yeah. It's just yapping. It's a lot easier when like things are interesting. You know?
Yeah, appreciate it, man. Nah, it's been dope.
I would say like kind of what are your own goals? I know you had It Takes a Village. You kind of have like some projects in the works right now. Kind of what are some of your like kind of dream projects that you kind of want to like? I need to do this in my lifetime. You know. Direct movies, score films, something like anything. Like
I heard you're kind of getting into that world of scoring and film and stuff. I would love to as well. That it's just, I guess the opportunity. The thing is, I'm at the point where I'm actually super excited. Like, I feel like my second fire has like ignited or whatever, right? Because like I said before, I was kind of, I don't know about this. So my thinking's like, I'll be doing this shit till I'm fucking 60, 70, whatever, right? So whatever may come, I'm about it. I'm actually really happy doing what I'm doing now, and just trying to really have a good relationship with music. So I think before, it's like, hey, you got to think grandeur and where can it go? Where can I take this? And I love to go on tour and do this and that, right? But you got to kind of find, I'm not saying settle, but it's just like you got to enjoy the journey. So right now I'm really just kind of having that balance, that really good relationship, not thinking too crazy about anything, but also just being excited to be in rooms with people right now, and that I can do this, you know. So that's I'm very careful right now. My mental health and music is like you know.
Kind of on going off that as well, like kind of what advice do you have for like the next, like not only generation but like people who kind of are new to this or want to get into it, want to be a creative full time, want to do music full time, want to be a producer full time? What advice or kind of lessons do you have for them to like kind of get them started, or like to help them along their journey as well?
Yeah, kind of on that same line, like think big because you need to. We always have to. That's why we do this, right? But also be realistic. Like you have life to think about as well. I put music in the front seat for so long and tried to be a teacher and get by doing this. And what happened was I had no savings, right? Like next thing I was like 34. Families coming into talks, well, I don't even have savings to this and that, right? So think about life and just prioritize. And you know, if it's a job, don't feel like you're copping out, right? Like I'm working a job, I'm still able to grind and do the music, right?
Yeah.
Just find the right job, right? There might be times where no, you can't do music. That's fine. It comes in waves, you know, so don't put too much pressure on yourself. Enjoy the journey. Have security, you know, that starving artist thing. It's like that it's not a real thing. Yeah, you know, like
yeah, you need food on the table.
Yeah,
you need to pay rent.
You know, Sir had that interview. I don't know if it was Colors or whatever. I always talk about this, but he used to be that guy. And you actually can't be creative then, you know, because you're worrying about how am I going to live the next day, the rent, this, that, whatever, right? So it hinders your creativity. So once you get that shit in check, he's like, he got a security job, or I don't know what job, right? Just something, right? He's like, then all the music started coming out. Then that's when I started making this project or whatever it was, right? So it's like, stable yourself. I told Sonia that, and then he got a job. He worked it for a while. Now he's like, hey, I saved up. Now I can get back into music. He's, you know, it's have that stability and security. Put music in the backseat for a little bit. Think about life. Don't miss out on life because you're just trying to grind and do the music thing. You know, like do it, but just have balance.
Yeah, I mean, shit. I think I need a little bit. I need it.
Yeah, in your 20s, you're go, man. Yeah. You got the energy, right? And you're just like, hey, head down. But sometimes you just got to be smart with your productivity. Like sometimes you think you're being productive, but you're not actually, right? So just just think outside of music, man. Think like, hey, 5 years if I want a family or this and that, right? What do I need to put myself in those places? Because your choices now, they affect you later, right? Like it sounds kind of ridiculous, but you can really plan and give yourself options to make your life easier and good and whatnot, right? So just think about that a bit more.
100%.
A bit more than I did.
I appreciate that. Well, thank you for coming on again.
Not at all. Thanks for having
pleasure. Thank you guys in the audience for listening as well. We appreciate you week in, week out, and I hope you guys learned something in the way I did as well. See you on the next one, babe.
Peace.